Hi, my name is Alita Williams, and I am president of the Rotary Club of Chicago. I would like to welcome you to the 5,681st meeting of our club. And so today, in lieu of a thought of the day, we are going to hear from one of our former members, Captain George. There was a hurricane that hit Acapulco, and our Rotary districts in Acapulco are asking for our help. And Captain George has been in touch with them during this time as he moved to Acapulco and left us for warmer weather, which I completely understand why, looking at today. So, Captain George, if you could come up and let us know about what's going on.
Thank you, Olita. Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon already. It's already afternoon, and my name is George Rabiella. I'm a retired fire captain from the city of Chicago. Matter of fact, that's how I got involved with Rotary, because they asked me to come, and I was involved heavily with the city council, and we got donations of, we probably got somewhere in the number of 15 to 20 fire trucks, ambulances, and everything. But the thought of the day, the reason Rotary interested me so much was the beautiful work that Rotary does. When people are hurting, Rotary's there. And the thought of the day, I have my wife and our two young kids are in Acapulco. They're stranded, and it seems like it's a dire situation. They're in very, very, very bad shape over there. There's no the whole city has been destroyed by Otis, and it's really sad. I'm going to try to get out tonight. They canceled my flight from Acapulco, from Mexico City to Acapulco, but I think I'm still going to be able to get out to Mexico City tonight at 2 in the morning, and then from there I'm going to take a bus. But the thought of the day is people are hurting, and you know what? Rotary is just, it's close to my heart, because I've seen all the work that Rotary does, and I'm sure Alita's going to ask for to give us a hand in there. I have an oceanfront property that's it was totally destroyed too, but there's my kitchen's still up, and we have there's an area that's covered by a big cement ceiling that's made out of cement. So I got firemen from all over the country coming. We're going to set up a kitchen there to feed the people that don't have any food or water. And I got another guy that has his boat wasn't sunk, and I think I know why, because he's got a plant that changes water, salt water, into drinking water, and that's one of the things that they need the most. So I'm going to try to get him to get that boat and fire up that plant that he has to purify the water, because water is an essential. That you need water and food. My wife is still we're still eating some of the sardine cans that I bought at Sam's Club. So hopefully she'll be okay. And her she's got two young children. They're 10 and 13 years old. And then if you go on the YouTube, on the internet, you'll be able to see the destruction and how much these people are hurting. But Alita, I want to thank you for this opportunity to throw this. And if anybody there, I just met some great gentlemen that have connections in Mexico. We're going to try to do as much as we can. And you know what? I want to thank the very first club that was ever open, number one, for your support. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Captain George. So today, our piggy banks today, all donations that are received in our piggy bank will go to Acapulco, and we will send that money to the Rotary District in Acapulco. We also have information that will be in the gyrator with a link to donate directly to that district in Acapulco to help them with the needs in that city during this time. So, and with that, we will do our best. Can we do our best to meet all of our Zoom questions? Please honor everyone's time, keeping your questions succinct and one question per person. If you have questions on the Zoom, please put them into the chat, and Sarah will let us know about those questions. And today, our speaker is Frank McKinney. He's a true modern day Renaissance man who has pushed the limits of success in his every endeavor. His early years were not very promising. Upon attending his fourth high school in 4 years, he was asked to leave the first three. In 7 stints in juvenile detention, he earned his high school diploma with a 1.8 GPA. With $50 in his pockets and without the benefit of further education, he left his native Indiana for Florida in search of his life's highest calling. Today's Frank life is a testament to the power of aspiration to create a completely new reality. As a real estate artist, he has created and sold 44 oceanfront mansions on spec with an average price of $14 million. Frank recently announced his unretiring and coming back to create more real estate artistry. And we will see two short films that have just made Frank's exciting comeback. As a philanthropist and capitalist, Frank has built 30 self sustaining villages over the last 20 years in Haiti, providing 13,600 plus children and their families with homes, schools, clinics, community centers, churches, renewable food and clean water, and the means to support themselves. As a best selling author, actor, and keynote speaker, Frank has written 8 books in 7 genres. His newest book, Adversology, Overcoming Adversity When You're Hanging On by a Thread, will be released on March 11th, 2023. Mark has starred in 4 movies and keynoted before audience to 10 to 10,000s around the world. Physically, Frank has pushed the limit of his body and been racing in the Badwater 135-mile ultra marathon 12 times. As with all of his books, Frank wrote his prior bestseller, Aspire, in his Delray Beach, Florida oceanfront home, and that his commute to work is very nice from inside his home to the next room. Today, Frank and Nilsa, his wife of 32 years, split their time between Delray Beach and their glass cottage in the mountains of Canton, North Carolina, and they enjoy visiting their 24-year-old daughter, Laura, in New York City, where she started and runs Stratabrand, a brand strategy firm. And with that, I'd like to introduce Frank McKinney.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. Rotarians from Chicago. I'm just a corn-fed country boy from Indiana. So when I left Indiana at age 18, we didn't have the Colts. So my favorite football team has been since I was a child is the Chicago Bears. Maybe not this year, but certainly going back to hell, I go all the way back to the Bobby Douglas era. Those of you who are Chicago Bear fans. So thank you for that nice introduction. I'm here at the invitation of David Hirsch, who is also on the Zoom call. David had me on one of his podcasts, his Special Fathers Network podcast, and he's read a few of my books. One of the things that has connected me to Rotary, and I just mentioned this to a couple other guys, we were talking in the kind of the green room before we got started, is the Caring House Project Foundation, which was referenced as being the entity that has built the 30 self-sustaining villages in the last 20 years in Haiti. Our board of directors for the Caring House Project Foundation, going back those 20 years since we were founded, has always had at least one Rotarian on the board. Well, now why? Why did we do that? When I started a charity 20 years ago, I had no idea how to run a charity, but I knew that a Rotarian knew about service above self. And at the time, the Caring House was in the business of providing not just houses in Haiti, but we were taking elderly homeless people on the streets of South Florida and providing them with a home for $1 a month. Elderly homeless people die in the street, and that's why we chose that population as our target population when Caring House first started over 20 years ago. And I knew that the Rotarians knew how to, take care of others. And so that's why for 21 years running, we have had a Rotarian on the board. And it's funny because this is Rotary Week for me. There's the Chicago Rotary today, and then tomorrow, one of our board members is president of the Boca Raton Rotary Club, and I'll be speaking in person tomorrow in front of your fellow Rotarians. So I'm honored to be at wherever it was, meeting 5,681 or 5,861. I'm moved by what the captain had spoke about in Acapulco, and certainly our Caring House Project would love to help your Rotary Club, help the Rotary Club in Acapulco. So David, when we're all done, give me a link to make a donation through your charity or through your Rotary, and we'll make sure that we help those in Acapulco. So a couple of things that I want to reference about sharing your blessings with others. So as that biography read, I had a very challenging upbringing, the 7 stints in juvenile detention before I was 18 and the 4 high schools in 4 years. When I was 18, I turned around with the imaginary eraser of life to the chalkboard of life and decided to erase what was, which was this juvenile delinquent getting in trouble, causing my beautiful mother to turn prematurely gray. I'm the oldest of 6. And I got on that plane with that new life that I had created for myself. And I landed in the land of Oz. I landed in the place where lifestyles of the rich and famous came to life. If you remember the program that was on TV in the 80s and 90s with Robin Leach and that great English accent, Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. And for you younger people, maybe MTV Cribs would be the equivalent. And I landed in Palm Beach, Florida, from a little farm town in Indiana. I was intoxicated. I don't drink. I might look like I drink, but I was intoxicated by the thought of the success that these people were exhibiting by driving their fancy cars and living in their mansions and their condos on the beach. And I wanted a piece of that, but how? Without the education, I had no connections. I had no network. I had certainly no education, no money. I might believe in the welfare system. I might believe in the entitlement systems, but I never believed in the entitlement mentality. It's a toxic mentality. I was very proud to have a job digging sand traps on a golf course with a bunch of Haitians. Matter of fact, I earned the nickname the White Haitian. And earning $180 a week, allowing me to rent my own apartment with 3 other maintenance workers, taught me the importance of hard work and not counting on anybody but myself for that living. But remember where I was working. I was working on a golf course where rich people were hitting a little white ball, trying to avoid the sand trap I had just dug by hand. This is my job, digging sand traps by hand. Before the mechanized ditch digging equipment, I dug it with a shovel. And it fascinated me at 18 years old to see these people never seeming to go to work, playing golf all day, and having a wonderful time. Who doesn't want that life? I don't want golf. I just want the lifestyle. I was then moved over to the tennis courts as a maintenance worker, got a 25-cent an hour raise, and guess who was playing tennis in the afternoon who had played golf in the morning? Same group of lifestyles of rich and famous people. Wow, did I really want that lifestyle? So I became a tennis instructor, a tennis pro. I was making over 100 grand a year as a 20-year-old. Across the net from me were my students who would drive up to their lesson in their Ferrari and their Lamborghini and their Mercedes, and they would close the door behind them on their mansion on the ocean or their yacht on the intercoastal waterway. And I wanted to learn, how did you get here? How in the world did you get to live this lifestyle with all these? Remember, I'm young, I'm consumeristic, I'm materialistic, I'm into all these trappings of, what money can buy. They have beautiful husbands and beautiful wives and, just everything the American dream represented. And I earned my PhD in entrepreneurship and my master's in real estate on that tennis court by teaching people how to hit a better forehand and a backhand for 45 minutes out of a 1-hour tennis lesson. I ran those people around so hard that they could not finish their tennis lesson. I'm 21. They're 61, and they can't fit on purpose. Why? So they would sit down. They had to sit down. I'd give them a cold drink and a towel and say, ask the question, how'd you get here? How'd you get here? And Rotarians, over that 2-year span of asking that question, over dozens, I wouldn't say hundreds, but dozens of my tennis students, real estate was the answer I got. None of them were born real estate investors. Matter of fact, most of them were 9-to-5ers like doctors or lawyers, but they took their discretionary income, money left over after paying the IRS and bills and stuff, and they put it into real estate. In the late 80s, I took their advice. This was before no money down, other people's money. This was put your money where your mouth is. I saved $36,000 teaching tennis. I put all that into a crack house. Yep, no, not crack foundation. This is crack cocaine house. I bought this little crack house, fixed it up, and flipped it. By the way, this flip wasn't even a thing back in the late 80s. Flip was something that people did in gymnastics. They didn't do it in real estate. And I flipped that house. I made a $7,000 profit. I'm telling you, it could have been monopoly money. I was so proud of proving this concept of buying an undervalued commodity, beat up old real estate, improving it like nobody else, marketing it certainly like nobody else, and selling it for 103% of retail. I did that for 5 years. I didn't sell a house. I didn't build a house, renovate a house worth more than $100,000 for 5 years. And in Malcolm Gladwell's book, Blink, he references to be an expert at anything in life, you have to put in 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours is 5 years full time if you do the math. In 5 years, I became an expert at the craft, not the business, but the craft of real estate. And I jumped from a $100,000 crack house to a $2.2 million house on the ocean. Since that time, that was back in 30 years ago, we have done 44 oceanfront homes on speculation. Okay, so I'm not a custom builder. I don't build for Mr. and Mrs. David Hirsch. I buy a piece of land, I design a house or renovate a house. My wife furnishes the house, and like the Field of Dreams, build it and they will come, or at least we believe they will come. And over that span of 30 years, we started with a $2 million house. The biggest house we ever did was a $50 million house. But I soon realized in the early 2000s that I had lost all the heart in my soul. I had lost all the soul in my heart. I'd become a materialistic, a consumeristic, and an egotistical jerk, thinking that all this success was due to me. And I'm a Christian. And I was extremely depressed. I was on the front cover of the Miami Herald for selling the most expensive spec house in the history of Palm Beach County, yet I was ready to take my life because I hadn't understood that there was such a thing as a spiritual highest calling to go along with my professional highest calling. My professional highest calling was this real estate gift God gave me. I didn't go to school for it. It was a gift he gave me to be able to design and renovate and build and sell and market. And whoa, I took advantage of that professional highest calling that God gave me, but I certainly did so to the detriment of my spiritual highest calling. I went to my mentor at the time and I said, his name was Rich DeVos. He was the co-founder of Amway. He was a mentor of mine for 20 years until he died about 2 years ago. And I said, Rich, why do I feel like, I'll say one bad word, why do I feel like shit? Why do I feel so terrible when I should feel so great? And he's the one who told me, Frank, you haven't found your spiritual highest calling. And you know what he said? He goes, you're a simpleton. You know, you're kind of a linear thinker, Frank. You're not very well educated. I understand all this. Maybe you should provide housing to the world's most desperately poor and homeless while you're providing housing to the world's most ultra wealthy. Doesn't take much like a simple guy like me, 1.8 GPA, to understand that hit home. I'm providing housing to the world's most wealthy who don't even need another house. Mind you, these people have 3 or 4 houses all around the world. I'm not stopping what I'm doing. I'm good at it and I love it. But shouldn't I, as a responsible steward for God's blessings, be sharing those blessings with those less fortunate? And that's when the Caring House Project was founded in 1998. We went 501c3 in 2002. And as the introduction referenced, now we're in our 31st village in Haiti. Why Haiti? Because it's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere and it's only 2 hours away from Florida. 31st self-sustaining village in Haiti. When I say self-sustaining, remember what I said about 10 minutes ago. I'm not a fan of the entitlement mentality. I don't want them to count on a government or even a charity. Charity exacerbates poverty, does nothing to help them solve the problem. So we build self-sustaining villages. So when we're done, that village can be self-sustaining. And by the way, village elder or Mr. Mayor, we're not coming back to help you. We've set you up with a self-sustaining village, 40 to 50 houses, a community center, a school, a church, a clinic, renewable food, clean drinking water, in some form of free enterprise so they can maintain themselves as self-sustaining. We're not coming back. And guess what? We're 30 for 30. All of our villages have succeeded. And as I said, we just started our 31st in the North. Thank you. So now I spend a lot of my time in my books and my writing. Many of my books, even my 3 books ago, the book called The Tap, talks about being a responsible steward for the blessings you've been given. I'm not going to go off on the Bible. I know not everybody's into it, but there's a passage in that book. And if you're not into the Bible, just think of this as a great life mantra. If you're into the Bible, this is a great Bible passage. To whom much is entrusted, much is required. To whom much is given, much is expected. If that isn't service above self, I don't know what is. And that's a mantra that I have tried to live by since I got those words from my mentor over 20 years ago. And so, you know, when I release a book, which my newest book was Adversitology, which just came out about 6 months ago. Adversitology, I know it's a tough word to say, overcoming adversity when you're hanging on by a thread, spiritual adversity, relational adversity, financial adversity, or physical adversity. We don't just tour bookstores and TV stations and, you know, podcasts. This tour took me to 26 different homeless shelters, soup kitchens, food pantries, detention centers, abused women's facilities, veterans facilities, and treatment facilities to deliver the message of hope that is found in my book, Adversitology. Because when you're homeless or you're in treatment or you're a veteran or you're a woman who's been abused, the last thing I want you to lose is hope. And so that's why we go around and we tour places that typically are very unconventional for authors to go to, delivering the message of hope and also delivering a bunch of free books. I don't make any money from the sale of my books. All that money goes to our Caring House project. I made all my money in real estate. So for those of you like David Hirsch, who's bought 7 out of 8 of my books, one book provides about 100 meals in one of our orphanages. That's one single book provides 100 meals, 2-part protein, 1-part carbohydrate in one of our orphanages in Haiti. So I'll take a breath there, and if I remember the host saying that if anybody had any questions or if I could clarify anything, I'm happy to do so, and I'm honored to be a Rotarian for the day.
Well, Frank, let me be the first one to say thank you for those insights and remarks. And just to be clear, I'm on the 7th of his 8 books, and I anticipate completing the 8th book before the end of the year. And I almost don't know where to start because there's so many different things to talk about. But we came in contact because of that book, your most recent book, Adversitology. And many of the Rotarians know that I do a lot of work with families, dads raising kids with special needs. And when I saw the title of the book, Adversitology, and learned a little bit more about what the book was about, it had to do with overcoming adversity. And that's what these families raising children with special needs are so good at, is overcoming the adversity of the special need or needs that their children have. And what I came to learn is that, well, Frank is very well recognized for the real estate success that he's had, both for-profit and not-for-profit, which he's just spoken about. He's actually an 8-time best-selling author. And for somebody with a 1.8 GPA without a college degree, it's pretty remarkable that you've been able to do all the things that you've been able to do. And what I was most impressed by, and I'll just say this and I'll let others ask questions, is that your commitment to fathering is pretty much second to none. And I'll just share a little insight. If you were to read a little bit about Frank's work, you might not see this. Is that he has one child, his daughter Laura, who's 24. She was the student class president at University of Pennsylvania, 40,000 students. And she has her own business and she lives in New York City. But most remarkable is that Frank literally walked Laura to the school, kindergarten through 8th grade, 9 years, missing very few days. And that level of commitment is, like I said, second to none as far as a father-daughter relationship is concerned. And I'll just mention that it was the background information for a book entitled Dead Fred, Flying Lunchboxes, and the Good Luck Circle. So Frank, if you want to use that as a starting point to not talk about adversitology, but to talk a little bit about Laura and what motivated you to write that other book.
one of the, not one of the, I would say I'm not a revisionist. Like I don't look back too much. I don't watch my own highlight reels or read my own clippings. But I will tell you that the happiest 10 years of my life were from pre-kindergarten to 8th grade, where I walked my daughter every day, 1,652 consecutive times. If I missed a day because I was sick or something, my wife walked her. So I walked her 99.89% of the time. Never did she sit in the back seat of a car for 10 years to be driven to school. We lived less than a mile from school. We had a 2.5 acre piece of property where I let the backyard just grow wild, just this tropical jungle that we would walk through. And then we walked past this nature preserve that was also kind of wild and overgrown. And then we walked over a drawbridge to her school every day. So I had never written a fiction book, a novel, but can you imagine the stories, the games, and the adventures I codified or could codify and turn them into this? David, it's my favorite book that I wrote. It's not the best-selling book because people don't know me as a young reader fantasy novel writer, but I love writing that book because every work of fiction is rooted in some form of reality. And that reality, walking my daughter to school every single day for 10 years, best 10 years of my life. And I'll say this last thing about that. I was interviewed, I forget, it was 2020 or Oprah, it was a big program. And they said, do you have what would represent your midlife crisis? Well, I told them it's not a younger wife. I've been married 33 years. My wife's a bit older than me. I don't want a younger wife. I don't want a faster car. I don't want a bigger house. I want a baby. And the reason I said I want a baby is I would do anything to get those 10 years back and do it all over again. I'd walk 10 more years if I could.
Do we have any questions in the room? Okay. Do we have any questions on the Zoom? One of our people in the room wanted to know, do you work with Rotarians in Haiti?
No, we don't. Honestly, I didn't even know they existed. So that's kind of an embarrassing answer, but we don't. Did not know there was such a thing. Haiti right now is I don't go politics. I have two things I kind of focus on. And this is maybe a little bit of advice. You have your circle of concern and you have your circle of influence. I don't spend a lot of energy in my circle of concern. I have concern over what's going on in Russia and Israel, but I can do very little for that. My circle of influence is Haiti. And so, when we go over there, well, we haven't gone in a couple of years because it is as dangerous as anything you're seeing on television regarding Russia or the Gaza Strip. And the media kind of has Haiti fatigue because of all the natural disasters. So we have a system in place over there. We have a network of partners that allow us to execute on our vision, even though we don't go there personally or haven't for a couple of years because of danger. And now that I know there's a Rotary, I'm assuming that's why the question was answered. We'll certainly partner up with them.
Well, Frank, I have to say you're a person after my own heart. Keep going. As someone who's dealt with adversity all of his life, just keep going. There is never any loss of any hope.
That's right. For those of you who want another great life mantra that happens to be a Bible passage, faith is being sure of what you hope for and certain of what you do not see. So I will always have faith that when hope materializes, that turns into belief. And that's something that maybe it's a curse, right? You go to bed every night. I could be completely soundly defeated, utterly depressed, but I will wake up the next day with hope that today will be a better day.
No, that's great, and it's a huge example for all of us to follow, especially with everything that is happening, not only in this country, but in other countries. But what I wanted to bring up to you is that, yes, Rotary is very active in Haiti, and with David, I would like to connect you with people that are, also in the organization that are very committed to Rotary. In fact, at the time of the last earthquake in Haiti, there was a Rotarian from Bahamas that flew 3 hours after the earthquake and was the first one that landed wherever it was possible to see what Rotary could do. So there's a huge commitment, and also there is a multi-million-dollar project that is called Hand Wash, and one of the partners is the World Bank. That the goal is, if it may take 20 years, but provide clean water to every inhabitant in Haiti. So things seem to happen all the time there, but that's what Rotary is going to do. But yeah, we'll be happy to make connections, because I'm sure that in the areas where you have those villages, Rotarians are going to be not far from there.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought it to my attention.
We have one more question in the room. Okay, and then we'll have a question off the Zoom.
Very impressive story. I work in Acapulco, and you know that we got devastated by that earthquake. I'm sure you heard what I said earlier, but I want to thank you for bringing that light, because Haiti is a very, very dark place. I had a friend of mine that was a missionary there, and he was stabbed to death. Just be careful. Thank you for the work that you do with the children. I'm involved with 3 orphanages in Acapulco. I haven't heard how they're doing, but I'd like to invite you down there to firsthand to take a look. There's going to be a lot of work there. There's a lot of people that probably lost houses that are worth millions and millions of dollars. There'll be some work there for you. Thank you.
Captain George, one of the things that I wanted to reference about Haiti, and I'm sure it's the case in Acapulco and other countries that are suffering, one of the reasons that we're so keen on self-sufficiency, besides the fact that I don't want them to rely upon government or charity, when you think about, like, if tomorrow when I give the keynote in Boca, I'll be in person, and there'll be people eating lunch like you, and I will go up to somebody's plate, and I will grab one of those rolls off their plate, and I will press it like a hamburger gets pressed. We all know what a hamburger looks like when you press it to eat it. But in Haiti, they're pressing mud. They're not pressing meat. They're pressing dirt flavored with bouillon and lemon juice. And the children in Haiti, the reason their bellies are distended like they are, it's not because they're fat or they're full. It's because the parasites in the mud are eating the lining of the stomach, causing a gas to be released in the stomach that's pushing the stomach out. So when we build a village, and each one of those community centers has a little kitchen in it, so that the villagers can cook a clean 2-part protein, 1-part carbohydrate meal, rice and beans or chicken, so that they're not eating literally. Just look down at your plate and picture your piece of chicken or your piece of bread as flavored dirt. That's not something that we want to see happen. That's not something that, regardless of your religious preference, even if you have one, that should ever happen. And Captain George, that's our mission in Haiti. Of course, the adults benefit too, but the average size of a family in Haiti is 8. That means there's usually 5 children, a mom and a dad, and a grandparent. We're targeting that next generation, so they don't have to. That cycle of poverty I don't think it'll be broken, but at least it can be mitigated.
Our question on Zoom.
Yes, Bob Shanks asked, have you considered sharing your blueprint for your success in Haiti with other governments and other countries?
Yes, Bob. That's a good question, because we were contacted by the Clinton organization, who had done a lot of work in Haiti. Very curious how we were able, or are able, even with 53% inflation, to build an entire village for around $350,000. That's less than the average cost of a single house in South Florida. So $350,000, $400,000. We're talking 40 to 50 houses, a 2,000 square foot community center that doubles as a school, church, and clinic. That renewable food, which is goats, chickens, pigs, animal husbandry, a nursery, a fishing cooperative, in some form of free enterprise like sewing machines, so they can be self-sufficient. We have next to no overhead. We are a public charity, so we have to file a stupid, 150-page tax return that costs a fortune to prepare. Other than that, we have very little overhead. So yes, we have shared I'm a simpleton. It's a simple setup. It's all about self-sufficiency. And if you insert that element so they can become self-sufficient, you're not getting the call saying send us more money, because we make it clear we're not sending you. If you fail, we're off to the next village. And that message has been received loud and clear. They're very entrepreneurial, they're very resourceful, and as I said before, we're 30 for 30. So yes, we will share. It's open source. It's on our website. What we do, sharing at chpf.org. I'm happy to share with anybody who wants to learn. It's pretty easy to learn.
That's it. Anyone else in the room? No? Well, thank you so much, Frank.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much for that wonderful speech you gave today. And I'm past it. I want to thank you today. So we have a wonderful Rotary Club of Chicago mug that we will mail to you since you're not here with us today, with a sample of my homemade cookies that come from Al's Cookie Mix. As I've said before, Alvin Green started a cookie mix company to help his son and his autistic friends have a way to be self-sufficient and work once they aged out of the Chicago public school system, which is about 21. And so he started a cookie company so that they would have jobs and be self-sufficient past that. So thank you so much, and we'll put that in the mail to you this week. And with that, we have many visiting Rotarians in the room. So if Sarah will bring over the microphone, if you can introduce yourself today.
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Taylor. I'm visiting from the Rotary Club of Grand Cayman in the Cayman Islands, and we are the biggest sponsor of hand wash in Haiti. And our RI board member, Jeremy Hurst, was one of the founders of that project. So it is very important, it's very successful, and it continues to bring clean water to the people of Haiti.
Great. Sarah, right there.
Good afternoon. My name is Ana Gratacos from Manatee Rotary Club in Puerto Rico, District 7000. We are working with some clubs in Dominican Republic, building houses for people that live up in the mountains in Santiago. And I was very moved by everything was said today, and we can relate the need of that people for a better living and sustainable living. Yes. Thank you so much for receiving me here today.
Thank you so much for coming. And then we have some visiting guests.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Wilmaro Damaso. I was invited by a great friend, Perez. I love something that this gentleman mentioned earlier. There's always something that guides us inside to the right direction. And I'm very proud to be here after I heard so many things. I'm entrepreneurial and I believe in capitalism, but I also realize that capitalism can devastate areas, cities, countries, globally, and we have to be concerned about that. So my approach from today is to put aside my experience, my expertise to help those in need more than probably ever. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon, I think. Still? Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Felix Cortez. I'm Anna's husband, and I'm her biggest supporter in financing and helping her do all the things she's doing with the Rotary. So I'm very happy to be here, and I thank you all for such a warm welcome. So,
Thank you for coming. And if we have any guests on the Zoom, please unmute yourself and introduce yourself. We have two.
We do have a couple. Let's see. John and Bob, do you want to unmute?
Okay, they may be shy.
Hello there.
Oh,
There we go.
Good evening. My name is Bob Shanks, and I'm a member of the Inverness Culloden Rotary Club, Inverness in Scotland. This is not my first visit to your club, but my colleague, John, who will speak for himself, John, an ex-president of our club, a past president, we were very interested to hear of the talk tonight, and we're very glad that we came along. Just to show you how Rotary can work, I had visited a Rotary club in Morocco, and you would have heard no doubt about the terrible earthquake they had in Morocco before all this kicked off later on. And I mentioned it to our contact in France, and their Rotary Club sent some help to that club in Morocco, as our club did by sponsoring a shelter box. So in that way, Rotary is helping throughout the world. John, over to you.
Thank you, Bob. Yes, indeed. It's very interesting. It's been very interesting to be here, to be with you tonight. In fact, here in Inverness, it's in cold Inverness, it's about 6:05. We're a very vibrant club. We do lots and lots of things. We're running up to a Santa sleigh. We do things with wheelchairs that go through a setup, a Rotary setup in Yorkshire. They go out to any one of 26 different countries. And these are wheelchairs we get from Highland Health Board, who are disposing of them, 4,000 of them over 4 years. So, and also aids, walking aids. So as I say, we're very busy doing lots of things, lots of good Rotary things, and at the same time, having fun. So yes, it's been really interesting to be here with you tonight. And back to Bob. Bob goes everywhere, and he's been to so many clubs, it's unbelievable. Thanks.
Thank you so much. So if you would like to expand your business and get to know more about us, we would love to have you come to more meetings or see Andrew or Nancy about membership if you have any questions. Our upcoming meetings, our volunteer opportunities are at Cornerstone every Wednesday from 2 to 5 or 5 to 7:30. November 21st, which is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, is Rotary Day at Cornerstone. I blocked out the entire day. I need at least 10 of you guys to show up, or I'll have to cook and serve all by myself, and that'll look really bad on Rotary One. So it is on the website for you all to sign up. So we would love to have you all come out and help be a part of serving a traditional, and I make a full traditional Thanksgiving dinner that Wednesday. They get turkey and ham and stuffing and cornbread and collard greens and mac and cheese, and Eric can tell you he doesn't see me for a week because I make Thanksgiving dinner for about 300 people, but it's a full course dinner for them because I feel everyone deserves Thanksgiving and everyone deserves Christmas. And so we do the full gambit. So I need all hands on deck that day if you all can make it November 21st. The 22nd, then, I'm sorry. It's the Wednesday before. It's the day before Thanksgiving. Sorry. And our community service scholarship for college students is still open until November 30th. So if you know any students that go to a school in the city of Chicago proper, please have them go. We have 3 $1,000 scholarships that will be given away. Please donate to the Rotary Foundation. That is a lot of how we get the money to do what we do. Our Rotary One Foundation does our complete service budget. So every dime and dollar that goes to that foundation helps us to have more money to give to various organizations and do all the great work that Margaret does and I think it's like 4 or 5 different countries right now. What community service does here in Chicago, our Job One program, all of that comes from our donations to the Rotary One Foundation. And then the Rotary International Foundation, we get those funds back in 3 years. And then we give those funds to this International Service Committee so that our money gets doubled. And so if we don't give, we don't get back. So just keep that in mind and make sure to make your donations this year. You can call the office and they can set it up for you, and it'll be set it and forget it. Download the Ignite app, which Andrew and Joel can help you do if you have any questions about that, to sign up for meetings, pay your bills, pay your dues, all those things. Recruit new members. They say they're interested. Hey, let me send you this application right now. 2 steps. And to take pictures at service projects. You can take service selfies through the app, and they go directly to where they need to go to in the club to make sure we have them. Yep. And our gyrator goes out every Friday, and that's the QR code for the gyrator. All of our committees are looking for wonderful members to join. So our next community service meeting is this Thursday at noon. The Zoom is, you can always sign up on our calendar for any of the service committee meetings. We would love to have you be a part. Our upcoming speakers, unfortunately, Dr. Weiss is not able to have us this coming Tuesday, so that meeting is going to be canceled, very unfortunately. But we have November 14th with Jane Metzger, and November 21st, you're right, it is a Tuesday. We have the Honorable Tony Prepwinkle that will be here on the 21st to speak with us. So we would love to have you here. And as always, we do our best to be sustainable and not to waste food. So if at any point you find out that you're not going to be able to make it, please call the office as soon as possible so that we don't have food that we waste. And with that, if everyone could stand to do the 4-way test. The 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Number 1, is it true? Number 2, is it fair to all concerned? Number 3, number 4, and ours, number 5, will it be fun? And with that, I conclude our meeting.